Ah, yes, Mario and Luigi Brothership, the only game where it's really about the friends we made along the way. This is my first full Mario and Luigi experience. I touched the other games, but never got around to actually finishing them. I was quite concerned going in because people had very mixed reviews going in, and they were mostly negative. Common ratings I've seen were only really around the 5 to 7 range, which was quite concerning considering that this is a 39.5-hour long game, and the fact that my last RPG experience from the Mario series was quite lackluster, to say the least. But I'll just talk about my positive takeaways, then my negative takeaways. Let's get started. Okay, I'll just start off with the biggest positive right at the bat. The combat is awesome. All the action commands for jump and hammer attacks are easy and fun. I get that they're repetitive once you play the game for a bit, but it's still nice to see that the bros come together to attack every single time, which isn't a common occurrence in the Mario & Luigi series, from what I've experienced in the past. The bros attacks really steal the show, however. They're just all awesome and cinematic. Zappernator is a fun mash fest, Yoo-Hoo Cannon is a neat little memory game, while it's hard to tell to pull off, Conductor Connector looks so clean, and finally Clock Out Blow is easily my favorite, it's just so awesome. Slowing out time, alternating hits between the bros, before launching an enemy into the air, comboing him with the other brother, and then smacking him right down with both of them for big damage. Awesome, dude. The only one I really didn't like was Bomb Derby, and that's all because I have a skill issue. There's also the battle plugs, which are nice and unique. I just wish they told me earlier that sprite bullets would be this useful, because a lot of these plugs are really good and busted. Not dropping, damage shield, protect this, the auto plugs, but especially auto 1-up, and of course, wait a minute. There's also some nice combos with them, like the fire and ice attack plugs, or the kaboom and iron ball attack plugs. They're all quite nice combos. Another huge praise I have for the game is its story. It's quite interesting and I really like it. I like the Zocket villains a lot too. The sketching quests are giant goofballs, and the plot twist of Zocket being Connie's mentor actually shocked me. But I mean, I'm the same person that thought Cassiopeia wasn't Penny, so what do you expect? And the fact that it's on Conductor Island too. And I just like how it's suddenly you just end up on the first island you've ever been to. It's so sick. And then you just find out that it's casually home to the ultimate being in the game, being the Great Conductor. That's awesome. But by far the best part of the story is absolutely the ending. Starting with Reclusa. This is an awesome final boss. What he does is trap people in their own quote-unquote perfect realities by themselves all alone with some flower types garbage, whatever the hell that is. This is some Cyrus type shit, dude, what the fuck? The segment where he traps Mario and Luigi and puts them back in the Mushroom Kingdom is so unsettling and ominous. They nailed it out of the park on that. It comes out of nowhere too, because it's just right before Reclusa's fight, which makes it even more unexpected and awesome. Reclusa's whole final boss fight in general is just awesome. You start off by riding a plug and just shooting fire and ice attacks to stop the opposite elemental attacks, before catching up to Reclusa and nuking him, and then just beating him up. And then he just goes into the tree for the second phase. You dodge his attacks. Unfortunately, you don't get to fight the tree itself, you just fight the minions below, until Snatlet comes back and you get to use Luigi logic. The Luigi logic here is awesome. Just look at this. It's the same thing as the first phase, but it's way more sick, because you're riding up the tree, and it looks straightly ripped out of a Kirby final boss scene. There's so many comparisons I've seen from this to a Kirby final boss, and it's just right. Kirby final bosses are right up to this level. It's actually insane, dude. Then in the third phase, you fight the tree's core, which is honestly uninteresting because it only has 2 attacks, but it's still difficult. And then you fight Reclusa himself for the final phase, which is also quite lackluster due to his limited variety of attacks, but again, he's also quite difficult, so nothing less to say. And then you end up the fight by using the power of the bonds to whack the fuck out of Reclusa, and it's just an awesome cinematic end to the fight. That is one hell of a final boss, dude, and I'm very proud of what they did for Reclusa. I just wish the final 2 phases had a bit more in store for me, and as in terms of difficulty. Another thing with the story is somehow making the otherwise corny theme of, oh, it's the friends we made along the way, somewhat good. Sure, collecting all the bonds for the watering can's stupidly annoying, but, I mean, the cutscenes are good. And plus, the power of the bonds looks sick whenever it's used. it gets used to revive Mario and Luigi from being unconscious, and you even use it just to punch through the tree barrier, which is just a really awesome scene too. Besides that, the other boss fights are also nice and unique, thanks to Luigi logic and other things. For example, Pipe Gunk with its changing forms and attacks, the two Bowsers with their immense damage output and so many turns to dodge, the extension course with their goofy attacks and battle plugs, and also Zaka just being a good penultimate final boss before Rayquaza. Another thing I liked was the puzzles. They were quite simple and weren't cryptic. Origami King. I only looked up a walkthrough twice throughout the game. A good example of these dice puzzles is the Soli Tree dungeon. Even though it was quite difficult to figure some of them out, I was able to figure them out without a walkthrough anyways. Actually, never mind, I forgot about this stupid room. Fuck this room. Another thing I want to praise is the art style. I haven't really heard anyone praise about the art style or talk about it in general, but I just really like it. I'm not no art critic, so I can't really describe how I really feel about it, but I think it just looks nice, and it just fits well, considering it's like a new studio for Mario and Luigi and all. While it's a bit overpopulated, I think they did a good job having a bunch of main characters and giving them nice and interesting backstories. I also like most of their dialogue besides the idle kids, which are just annoying, and also knock off Romeo and Juliet. Fuck them. They are so uninteresting. And I also like the fact that you can just speed up the dialogue and skip cutscenes if you want. That would be nice for a replay. Still doesn't mean the game isn't 41 hours long. And now my final praise is that there's a greater focus on Luigi. It seems odd, but you can't lie. Luigi's always been the side piece to Mario. I mean, just look at the Paper Mario series, dude. Like, Mario gets everything, while Luigi just kinda sits at home. Poor Luigi. He needed that motivation from a Daphne. Because Mario, just look at this. He gets kissed by every single one of these characters on screen in Thousand Year Door. Come on. I also like how they gave him Luigi logic. I've talked about this a lot, but it's basically just a brain blast moment where Luigi's like, oh yeah, here's a counter to whatever the hell the problem is. And whenever it's used in a boss fight, it's always a sick little event, and it's awesome. It's either turning pipes or just riding a plug into the tree. Yeah, it's just so sick. I mean, even the conductor says that Luigi has been greater on the adventure, which is very interesting. Funnily enough, Mario gets the burst attack with the great conductor, which is very odd, but I guess the conductor felt bad for him. But I mean, who wouldn't? Mario just does not get a lot in this game. And that's all I have to say for the praises. It's a lot, but there are some negatives too to cover, so let's talk about that right now. Alright, let's start small here and work our way up. Why the fuck did we get the fast travel in between currents at the end of the game? That would have been so much nicer, especially when I thought I had to find Heat Freeze and Twisty again, all the way back in their respective seas. And keep in mind, Twisty's in the first ever sea, which takes forever to sail back through, even with the fast sailing you get at the start of the game. Really? Another complaint I have is just the annoyingly long recharge times for any battle plug in the game. And also just like some of them just having 3 charges. I mean, I get the OP ones having like 3 charges, but they do not need to take that long to recharge, Dan. Another thing is just the islands sometimes falling completely flat on their faces. That's why it was just annoying to progress, despite the good theme of the island. Bulbfish was just an awful attempt at a story island. I never cared for the story and just thought it was a massive wall of dialogue while trying to figure out what the hell to do. It was so garbage. And then there was still the underground, which was bombarded by enemies, dude. Just shut up and let me play the game. While I could complain about the buttload of enemies for the second trip to Fortress Zocket, at least that's the penultimate dungeon, which you've come to expect a lot of enemies by now. This is just a random island in the Burning Sea. And speaking of which, the Burning Sea sucks, dude. I'm sorry. I never cared for knockoff Romeo and Juliet, like I just said earlier. Neither did I find Scorching or Slipping Yell Island interesting at all, especially the stupid Goomba and Koopa fight. Where the whole gimmick is that if you can't knock all of them out one by one, you have to knock all of them out at the same time. Do you know how annoying that is when you have to counter 2 attacks just to damage them? That fight took so long to do, and I hated my life doing that. Oh my gosh. Heat Freeze gets saved by its revisit and its unique looks. At least that sea has a cool boss at the end, which gave me a hard time. Another complaint I have is the fact that you can't leave an island until you link it. This wasn't a problem at any other point in the game, besides when I reached Fortress Socket for the first time. I was severely underpowered at level 31. Wanna guess what level the boss of Fortress Socket is? 35! And it's Gloam Bowser. And if you know anything about this game, you know that Gloam Bowser is one of the hardest fights. So I think you can guess what happened. I raged multiple times because I just kept losing because I couldn't really do anything because of how much damage he dealt. So I had to use kids mode to beat the fight. This could have been all prevented if I was just able to go back to Shipshape and just go to an island and grind levels so this way I could actually fight Gloam Bowser without struggling. Too bad. Oh my gosh, that sucked. And what pisses me off more about this is the fact that you can go back to the Shipshape Island on Soli Tree. Why can't you do this in any other island? I get the regular islands, but at least for the dungeons like Way Away Island or Fortress Socket and the Soli Tree, why? Just why not put the cannon at the beginning of the dungeon? You did that at the end of the game! Even though I just had a little crash out there, this is literally the last complaint I have. The pacing, and it's by far the worst. Some segments feel so dragged out. I've already mentioned some of them, that being Boldfish and shit like that. The odd backtracking was always annoying and kind of pissed me off, like collecting all the bonds. But it's fine, I guess. I was originally gonna play this earlier as my 7th video for my Collection 5, but the length always kept me away from actually doing something with it. I just conveniently had the free time to do it right now. It's just very annoying. And might I remind you that the game took 41 hours to beat. God damn, dude. Whatever. I think it gets forgiven by its ending story enough, though. And that really concludes my synopsis here. That's how I feel about the game. Sure, it has its slight problems, but I really do not get the need. I really do not get the hate at all for this game. To give it a 5 out of 10 is really egregious. And yes, I did read that review, and while I agree with most of the points they made, I still don't think it warrants a 5, dude. Come on. I do understand some complaints like I just said. The positives definitely outweigh the negatives by a large margin. The pacing was my only big issue with the game, so I think it's time for a final score. This game is really good. I loved a lot of it, and while it had its down moments, Gloam Bowser, that didn't really hinder my experience too badly. And this game has really inspired me to play the rest of the Mario and Luigi series, because this was quite awesome, man. So, I think this is quite unexpected for me, but I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I liked it that much, I'm sorry, this game's just kinda good. Anyways, thanks for watching, peace.